And here's the question. Ron, why do we need to memorize something if we can just look it up? Somebody said this to me recently at a party. I was talking to him and I said, yeah, she was a teacher. She said, you should come teach my students. And I said, yeah, I could teach them memory. And she said, why do we need to memorize something if we can just look it up? Well, this was a teacher talking to me. Now, I didn't really confront her on this logic, but what is she talking about? Does she let her students take the books into the test with them? Are all their tests open book tests? I mean, come on, you're a teacher and you're telling me why do we need to memorize something if we could just look it up? Well, unless you're letting your students look up every single answer in the test, memory is important for test taking. But it goes even deeper than that. And it goes even much more significant than that. There was a 4th century grammarian named Julius Victor, 1600 years ago. Let me quote what he said, and I want to get this quote perfectly correct. He wrote, "Memory is the firm mental grasp of things and words for the purpose of invention." Now let's dissect this for a minute. Julius Victor said memory is the firm mental grasp of things and words for the purpose of invention. I'm going to kind of explain what I believe he's saying here. And let me bring up another guy, Sir Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton said, if I have seen farther than anyone before, it is because I have stood on the shoulders of giants. And what Isaac Newton was saying was that he was a scientist and he had, discovered all these great things, it's only because the scientist who came before him, who laid the foundation. And here's what I'm going to suggest to you. This is how knowledge works. You learn something. You really know it. It's in your memory. Whether you sit down and memorize it, you really, really learn it. And then you'll be driving along in your car, or you'll be riding on an airplane or on a bus or on a subway or whatever, and you'll be thinking about that. And as you think about that knowledge that you already know, boom, another thought pops into your mind. And you're like, oh, man, I wonder if we could do this. Or I wonder if it could lead to this. I wonder if it could lead to this. Here's what I'm suggesting to you. If you never memorize anything because you can just look it up, well, here's your knowledge base. Your knowledge base is right here. It doesn't grow. And only when it grows, only when you really understand something, can your brain start working on that knowledge and start seeing that knowledge from different angles and twisting that knowledge around. And then when you do that, you invent something new. And then your knowledge is right here. Maybe you investigate this and you learn more about this. And even if you're not learning a memory system, you memorize facts about it just by doing it. Now your knowledge base has gone from here to here to here to here. Memory. There's some truth to saying you don't want to have just a bunch of useless facts in your brain. I get it, okay? I get it. You don't. But when you really, really memorize something, when you really, really know something, you're adding it to your knowledge base. You know it. It's your knowledge then. And then you can build on it, and you can expand on it, and you can invent new things. So I'm going to tell you this. The purpose of memorizing stuff is not just having something memorized so you don't have to go look it up. I mean, that's not the purpose. The purpose of memory is adding it to your knowledge base so you can think about it, so you can ponder it, so you can twist it around in your brain and add to it and add to it and add to it. It's so when you go do one activity and you're like, I can't figure this out. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. That reminds me of this. Let's take a doctor, for example. A doctor who has been a doctor for 30 years. He has this knowledge base of all these diseases and all how the body works. Not because maybe he sat down and memorized it, but just over time he memorized it. He learned it. Then he is confronted with a new disease. If he never memorized anything about diseases, if he never memorized anything about how the brain works, his cognitive ability to figure out that new disease would still be right here. He'd be like, oh my gosh, this is a new disease. I have no reference point. I'm going to have to go look up and type in the symptoms. No. He says, oh, wait a minute. This reminds me of this. This reminds me of that. This kind of fits with this, what I already know. Maybe this would work. That's the purpose of memory. The purpose of memory is invention and reasoning and building knowledge. I get it. You might not want to just fill up your brain with useless facts, but to say, why should I memorize something when I can just look it up? That is a myth. That is the wrong way to look at memory. And I hope I've dispelled that. Okay. All right. I'm not going to be as angry on the future questions, but that was the first question. Isaac Newton, if I've stood on the shoulders of giants, it's because if I've seen farther than anyone before, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. He had a knowledge base because of the men and women, the scientists who came before him. That knowledge base is what leads to invention. And that is important aspect of memory. Anybody can improve their memory. You don't have to be born with a special gift. I'm a 2-time USA memory champion, but I'll tell you this, I wasn't born with any special gift. I think some of the people I compete against were, they're geniuses, but I wasn't. You can be born with the gift of memory, but you can also be born a normal person and train it and enhance it to where you get to a very high level. If you want to train and enhance your memory, click the link down below. Get my Black Belt memory course. I have a free gift for you. It'll take you to the next level. It's exactly what you need to improve your memory. If you have a question, type it down below in the comments. I'll take a note of it, and I'll do this again, and I'll answer your question. So ask a question, put it down below in the comments. One thing that tells YouTube and other platforms that this is good and worth sharing if you like it, if you share it, if you comment, if you engage with it, it tells the computer algorithms that this is good and other people should do that. So I hope that you engage with it in that way. I hope you're enjoying this new format. My name is Ron White, and I look forward to hearing your name. Comment below so I know your name. Comment below and ask questions. And in the next video or in a future video, I'll answer it. I'll see you on the next lesson.